Okay, so you know how sometimes you're like searching for something online and you think you've got the perfect keywords,
Right.
but you end up with like a million results that are totally
Oh,
useless.
yeah, totally. It's
Yeah.
like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It can be so frustrating. So today we're diving into something that could totally change that whole experience.
We're talking about pairs. It's a completely different approach to search,
Yeah, and the research paper we're looking at today describes it as being like calling a friend instead of doing a traditional search.
which I love as an analogy.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Right.
So instead of endlessly scrolling through Google results, it's like I can just call up my friend who's like the ultimate expert on whatever I'm researching. Like, say I need to find the best vintage synthesizer.
Right. You're not going to ask just anyone. You'd go straight to the friend who's always posting about their music gear collection.
Exactly. They're like my own personal curated search engine. But how does Pairs actually make that happen digitally? Does it like read minds or something?
Well, not quite mind reading, but it does rely on some pretty cool algorithms. It all starts with this idea of understanding how words relate to each other.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So basically, imagine all these words existing in this web of relationships. Words that show up together a lot in similar contexts are closer together in this web.
So like vintage synthesizer would be closer to Moog or analog than to say tax returns?
You got it.
Yeah.
That's basically the idea behind something called distributional semantics, which is one of the core concepts that makes peers work.
Okay, that makes sense.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Pairs doesn't just apply this concept to individual words. It uses it for whole documents and even user profiles.
Wait, user profile. So like my browsing history, you're telling me that's all connected?
It is. Your browsing history is like a gold mine of information. It's basically a map of your interests.
Yes.
Every website you visit, every article you read, it all adds another layer to that map showing pairs what you're into.
So if I'm constantly checking out music blogs and gear reviews, Paris is like, okay, this person is deep into vintage synths.
Exactly.
And it's not just keeping like a secret file on me, right? It's actually using that information to connect me with other people who have similar interests.
Precisely. It's like pairs can see who else is spending their time geeking out about vintage synths, just like you.
So instead of just giving me a random assortment of websites, it's connecting me with a whole network of like-minded synth enthusiasts.
Think of it as it's more like a curated community than just a search engine.
Okay, I'm really liking where this is going. So walk me through this. How does a search actually work in this system?
All right, so let's say you're on the hunt for information on the best way to restore a vintage drum machine,
Hypothetically, of course.
of course. So you type in restore vintage drum machine. Those become your key concepts. But instead of just matching those words to random pages across the web, Pairs looks at user profiles.
Okay, so it's looking for people who are constantly searching for and clicking on things related to vintage drum machines.
Exactly. It's like saying, hold on, I know just the folks who are obsessed with bringing these things back to life. Let's see what they've got.
It's tapping into this collective knowledge of people who actually care about this stuff.
You got it. And because you're searching through a smaller, more focused pool of information, it can actually be much faster than a traditional search.
So it's faster, but I'm guessing it's also more accurate, right? Because these are results curated by people who actually know what they're talking about.
That's the idea.
Uh-huh.
And actually, the research paper found that in some tests, Pairs was more effective at finding relevant results than even Apache Lucene.
Wait, Apache Lucene? That's what powers Bing, right?
It is.
Wow, so Pairs was actually outperforming a major search engine. That's seriously impressive. But okay, I have to ask, as cool as this all sounds, the privacy side of things is making me a little nervous.
I understand. It's
Yeah.
a valid concern.
We're talking about algorithms analyzing everything we do online. It's a little Big Brother-ish, don't you think? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little unnerving to think about Pairs knowing all my deepest, darkest synth secrets.
Well, first of all, I want to reassure you that Pairs isn't spying on you or anything like that.
Okay, good.
It's more about understanding your interests in a general sense.
Yeah.
And the researchers behind Pairs took privacy very seriously. They built in a lot of safeguards to protect user data.
Okay, that's good to hear. So what kind of safeguards are we talking about?
Well, for one thing, you have a lot of control over what information Pairs actually uses to build your profile.
Oh, really? So it's not like it's just sucking up every single thing I do online.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually blacklist certain websites or even whole topics. So if there's something you don't want influencing your search results, you can tell Pairs to ignore it.
Okay, so I can curate my curation in a way.
I like that.
Right, it's all about giving users control over their own data.
That makes sense. What else?
Even more importantly, your profile within the Pairs network is completely anonymized.
So even though it's connecting me with other users, None of us actually know each other's identities.
Exactly. Your actual name, your personal details, none of that is ever revealed. It's all about connecting people based on shared interests without compromising anyone's privacy.
Okay, that definitely makes me feel better about the whole thing. It's amazing how PeARS is sort of pushing the boundaries of what's possible with search. We've come a long way from just typing keywords into a box.
We have. And I think this is just the beginning. Imagine a future where instead of just finding websites, PeARS helps us connect with like-minded people, experts, even personalized recommendations for events or resources. It's like having a personal assistant for all your interests. That would be incredible.
Right. It's about making the internet feel less overwhelming and more like I don't know, a place where you can actually connect with people and discover things that you genuinely care about.
It's like instead of just searching for information, you're actually exploring a world of knowledge curated just for you. I love it.
Me too. And you know what? I think that's a great place to wrap up our deep dive into pairs today. We've covered a lot of ground from the technical details to the broader implications of this technology.
We have, but this is just the start of the conversation, right? We want to hear what you think about all this. What possibilities and concerns does PeARS raise for you? Head over to our website and let us know your thoughts. And as always, thanks for diving deep with us.